You quiet.
Okay, so now we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. So if you want to write that up here somewhere, so you've got it. SOHCAHTOA.
I don't know what that is. Oh, it's on video, so we can't say it, right? I know.
Oh, recycling.
Oh, yeah, I
Around
know.
the corner there, friend.
Some
Thank you,
horse
Kristen.
caught another horse took no apples.
That's a good.
All right,
Yeah.
So-
Style.
when you solve these, just like you did yesterday to sort your triangles, we've got to figure out what we have and what we're trying to solve for. So my angle is 73. When I cover that, where's my opposite side? Which one of these is my opposite side if I cover my angle up?
The 34. The 34. No, the long one.
The one that's blank. Okay? The one that's blank is my opposite side. Okay? Which means X is my adjacent. 34 is my hypotenuse. Okay. What side do we not know anything about? Opposite, so we don't use it. Okay? So that means I have A and H. So use CA. So CA stands for cosine. CA stands for cosine adjacent hypotenuse. Oops, that should be a Y. Okay, cosine adjacent hypotenuse. So we set this up exactly the way you see it. Cosine of my angle, which is 73, equals, okay, cosine of my angle. So we're here. After you do cosine and the angle, you put equals every time. It's a trigonometric ratio. And those of you that do not have your calculators, you're going to want those today.
Well, can you have me 12, please?
You've got to start grabbing your calculators when you come in here. It's probably because it's in radian.
You're not
She actually got hers today and the rest of you didn't. Woo! Becca's on her A game.
I need my papers.
There should have been papers over there. Then somebody took an extra set of papers yesterday. So I'll have to make those. Okay, so cosine of 73. On the other side, you're going to create a fraction. That comes from your AH. So A comes first, so that's going to go on the top. So it's X over 34. So that's how you set it up every time. Whether you use cosine, sine, or tangent. It's cosine of your angle equals. And then the order that comes after it is how you set up your fraction. That's why I said it's very important that you remember it's SOHCAH. That tells you how to set it up. Okay. So now I need to solve for X. Well, when I've got fractions and an equal sign, the easiest way to do that is to create a proportion. So I can put cosine of 73 over 1, and that does not change its value. So when I cross multiply, I get 1 times X. So X equals, when I multiply the other side, this becomes 34 times the cosine of 73.
Oh, is that where the buttons come in?
Yes, that's where the buttons are going to come in. So Underneath that, put x equals, and then I'm going to show you how to plug this into your calculator. Okay. Everybody good with this? We ready for the calculator? Good?
You can make a flower with the same cosine 10 symbols.
Okay. So if you go to your calculator, the first thing I need you to do is go to mode. Okay. So if you look at the third step down, you see radian and degree. Which one's highlighted? Radian. That's going to be a problem. Okay. All of your triangles are in degrees. I'm going to tell you right now, your final exam, I have to clear out these calculators before you get them, which means that your calculator is going to be in radians. That is what it goes to. So the first thing I want you to do when you sit down and start your test is change it to degree. You will not need radians. I will not be in this room. You have got to remember that. Okay.
Like the day before.
I can tell you the day before. I can tell you nothing the day of. So you are going to have to remember. So all you do is you scroll down and scroll over and hit enter. So degree is now highlighted. Okay. And then you go second mode to quit back out to your screen. I'm going to clear all that out because I don't need it. So now, if you look, it says x equals 34 times, your cosine button is right here above that parenthesis. You're going to hit cosine. And the degree goes in the parentheses, so 73. And close it. And hit enter.
Oh, when I did it without doing degree, it's like -20.
Right. You end up with a negative number. That's what's going to tell you that your calculator is not in degree mode. Okay. If I would have left this as radians, let me go back. Hold on. Whoops, not second. Mode. If I actually change this to radians and I do the same thing, it gives you a negative number. The side of your triangle cannot be a negative number because that means it doesn't exist. Okay. So it's in radian modes right now. So this is what's going to tell you that something's wrong. Okay. So be very, very careful. So you always want to make sure that that is in degree mode before you use it. You won't deal with radians until pre-calc. And yes, you will deal with radians and pre-calc. So this means that your x value is 9.94? 94. So that means this side of your triangle is 9.94. That's how long it is. That's
I
it.
thought that was X. Wait, what side of the triangle?
So your x is?
Oh, you didn't point to it. That's all.
All right. So that's all there is to it. It's figuring out, do I use sine, cosine, or tangent? And then plugging it in, putting it in your calculator. So with this one, here's my angle. Which side is opposite? 11. Which means this is adjacent and this is hypotenuse. Well, the side that I know nothing about is my adjacent side, so I'm only going to use O and H. So that's so. So stands for sine, opposite, hypotenuse. So again, sine of my angle equals, O comes first, so that goes on top, 11 over X. We set up our proportion and solve. So we put this over 1. So this becomes 1 times 11, 11. The other side becomes x times the sine of 18. We've got a problem with this one though. The last one when I cross multiplied, x was already by itself. This time it's not. So I need to get it by itself before we plug it in. We need to get x by itself. So I'm trying to get rid of everything that's with x. So you would divide. Do you see where? Okay, so when I do that, this cancels. And x is left all by itself. So x equals, and when you plug this one in, you literally just do division instead. So we've got 11 divided by, sine is right next to cosine, 18, close your parentheses, and hit equals. 35, and that'll actually round to 0.60 because that 6 will round your 9 up, and then that becomes a 10, which makes that a 60. 35.60. Question. Okay. Let's go one more. Label my sides. Cover 57. 13's opposite. X is my adjacent. This is my hypotenuse, but I don't know anything about it, so I don't use it. So I've got O and A.
That's the part I was confused.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, why are you using the other ones? Okay, I got it.
There's no variable there. There's no number there, so you don't use it. Okay?
Because I used to use it, and then I was like confused. Now I don't like.
Okay. I told you it'll start to click. It'll start to click. Is this helping from yesterday? She's like, yes. I'm so glad I'm back in here.
Right.
Look at Tola.
So this time,
out there, I was just like, you know what? I'm just about to say I quit and just do it tomorrow.
Toa. So this time we're going to use tangent. O represents opposites. A is adjacent. So now I've got tangent of my angle equals O comes first, so 13 goes on top, and X goes on bottom. Again, over 1, cross multiply, so that's 1 times 13, which is 13, and X times the tangent of 57. And we're going to have to divide to get x by itself. So we divide by the tangent of 57. So these cancel. So x equals 13 divided by the tangent of 57. 13 divided by your tangents on the other side of cosine. 57, and hit equals 8.44.
Is the next sheet that you gave is pretty much the same thing.
Okay, this one's going to glue in on page 129. The other one that you have glues in on page 130. I want you to try these 3 on your own. So this one goes in on 129. The other one's going to go in on 130. You're going to want to glue the other one in more towards the top so you have a little bit of room on your actual page to do those bottom 2 because I didn't really leave you much room there.
Wait, what?
Glue the other one in more towards the top of the page. Yes. That way you have room to do the bottom two, because you'll just use the line paper below it then.
But you were telling us to put it in on the page.
No. So try those 3 on your own and see what you come up with. You need some more paper. I kind of figured you were going to, because that matrix packet.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yes. Well, that's because it's your notes and the review for the test all in one. Thanks, friend. Jeremiah, turn around and do your work, please. Huh? Do I need to start taking points off for not coming to class prepared with the stuff that you need so you don't have to share?
You said we blew that in a 129.
His just ran out, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
You said that goes in a 129.
The big paper that we just did, yes. The one that you're doing on your own right now goes in on 130.
All right.
And I said glue it in more towards the top. That way you have a little bit of room to do those bottom two, because I didn't leave you a lot of room on the blue paper. Because the bottom part of this page was solving for an angle, and I don't want to do that yet. I want to focus strictly on sides right now. We'll do angles whenever we come back.
Whatever.
And it's gotten too cold too fast, so we're not going to go outside and do the activity that I always have planned for this.
Wow.
It's too cold.
Are y'all cold?
No.
And Miss Smith.
Come on, me please. That's like the funnest thing to do that we ever did in math. Please.
I usually take you guys outside. We find the height of the flagpole.
Oh.
We'll go down to the field and find the height of the scoreboard.
Oh.
That's like that's not fair. And it's not
All
fair.
right. Okay, so first off, let's see how bad the weather gets and how much school we miss.
Oh, I thought you meant today.
No. We can't do this until we cover word problems.
Oh, we got. Ooh.
Bad. That's what I be saying. I hate word problems. I
Like,
become
We can't even make snow cream.
right.
Well, you know.
Y'all don't understand snow we get up north. How about that?
Right.
I don't understand.
We're not gonna get the fluffy snow this time. We're gonna get the dense, hard, icy snow.
I hate
No, it's
that.
gonna be fluffy snow for the first day, like Saturday night till like Sunday morning, Sunday 2 o'clock, and that's when it's gonna go down and sleep.
Sounds like fun. Yeah, let's drive our cars in that.
Yeah, you drive your car out.
People up north do it all the time.
Seriously, we still go to school if it's
Right.
outside.
Yeah.
My
The
friend-
snow that they're calling for,
Dude,
they
my
still
friend
be
lives
at school.
My friend lives in Canada, and she was telling me about how they've gotten like 2 feet of snow before the
Well,
snow
yeah,
hit school.
My dream college is
Yeah, you're gonna have to get used to the snow.
I mean, I'll be used to it, but like.
Yeah, you get snow days down here.
Yeah, just get used to not getting days off for snow.
Miss Smith, can you
Ah,
give me
yeah.
Everyone likes the mountains. Right. See, the last mountain I went to was like fucking Highland Mountain. Like I
Like, if you look at me, I'll probably get mad.
She's gonna be in like a cowboy town.
Okay, y'all have something to be working on, so I'm not quite sure why there's so much conversation going on.
Wait, what did we do when we had a multiple? Didn't we stop the way?
I'm just wondering, so for, how do you figure out like that's the house.
Which side you got?
Like if you have. Why do I always put that in to figure out which side, like, how do you figure out which side?
Like which angle you have to cover up? It's always either the angle that they give you. It'll never ever be your right angle.
Okay.
So it'll either be an angle that they give you, or when we do this on Monday, it'll be a variable.
Okay.
So you always cover that up. So here you would cover up this. Here you would cover up this. So whatever angle they give you.
Adjacent. Opposite is.
Office is always the side that your finger does not touch when you cover it.
And then adjacent is.
Adjacent your other leg that makes that 90 degree. What other side makes your 90 degree angle? What side connects with that one to create a 90 degree angle? That's your adjacent leg.
So just.
So your two legs of your triangle are always the sides that create that 90 degree. So here's your legs, here's your legs, here's your legs. It's always the two that go together to make it a 90 degree
Like the
angle.
two that this connects.
Yes. And then when you cover that, you can tell which one's opposite. And then the other one's adjacent. Okay? Yes.
I got 4.7.
I got 4.7.
So as long as they're plugged in correct, everything you have set up is correct. I don't have an answer key in front of me right now, so.
You would do 34 times. You would do 34 times.
Yes. As long as you close that parenthesis, you can do the times 8 afterwards. I always tell them to do the times 8 before. It doesn't change it, it's just most people forget to close that parentheses. So then they have this,
470.
Or 8 times.
if they tell you hundredths place, it's gotta be 0.70.
So just look for right now, please. Yes.
8 times 10. That's 10. That's 10. I'm fine.
I'm not even on there yet.
That's great.
Sorry.
Hey.
For real.
Are those underscores?
Gosh. Oh, heck no.
Oh,
What is it?
I got like a 28.
Wait, are you gonna
Oh, don't make me take pictures of all these and email them to your parents.
I'll show them. Stop playing with me. I'm gonna give them to her anyway. I don't have a phone. Like, she didn't even, like, I'm gonna get it to her.
Like, I'm so serious. She's not like 33. She doesn't know how to.
Are you sure?
Ooh, look at your Spanish grade. You go, girl.
Like, she was using my laptop and she was
Yeah, you. It's a super good Spanish grade.
It's not even the Xbox.
Yeah, you're right. I'm never used to sit down looking at these as I pass them out, just so you know. Because I can.
I'm not doing good.
I'm not doing good at many classes, but.
We're going to wait till we go over these. Because when I pass these out, you know, some of you get angry and then shut down on me.
Me, AP
So we're
World
going to do this
History.
first.
That wanna be a butt. I'm just. I'm so annoying. Sorry.
Oh, she finna snitch on you. Look what you done did.
She just snitched on herself.
Oh, and you gotta say
What
my
is
name.
this, Jalecia Balveron?
What did you get for last
She's scared now.
Kenzie, shut up. You talk too much.
Oh
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
You got all like defensive on snitching on herself. She did that already.
She's saying, please delete that.
wish I
shit.
knew that.
She said you're begging. Stop.
How much more time we need?
I haven't finished the first.
I'm done.
Okay. I'm actually going to ask Mo and Janaya to get up and circulate and help some friends. that are slow.
No.
I'm finished. I'm finished too.
Are you finished too?
I've been finished.
Let them bring theirs back to you and check yours, and then you can circulate. Because I haven't seen yours. I've seen theirs. Sheesh.
You too. I did it right and I
That's 96.
Yeah, Miss Smith got training.
Great.
Somebody else. It's not, especially not in this class. But just.
Wait, what did you get? She told me 500. Well, you can actually give me. See, this took her away from me. I turned it down. David Smith. Hi. So isn't it supposed to be close to 8? Grade 6 to grade 6, right? Because
It's not sin.
Sit
down tonight. Miss Smith.
You can hear loud metal music.
Tell tonight is good day.
All of it and adjacent. Always take the range. So one of these has to be opposite, one of these has to be adjacent. Which means this one is when I cover know anything about adjacent, so now you've got opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, you're gonna get a scratch piece of paper with your finals. My suggestion to you is write it down. Because they don't. So listen, guys. On your test, when you get your final exam, you're going to get a scratch piece of paper. Okay? They're going to give you a scratch piece of paper. We're going to do it more towards finals, but I'm going to show you what to do what I call a dump sheet. Okay? So that's where you take every bit of information you can remember from Math 2 and you throw it down on a piece of paper. That way, when you're going to do your test, you don't have to sit there and go, wait, what was that? What was that? What was that? You've got it right in front of you and you can look at it. So like when you get your scratch piece of paper, I want you to throw things on there. Like I remember we learned SOHCAHTOA. I want you to write that down. I want you to say, okay, we learned Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
That's how we do it.
Okay. I want you to throw down every formula. You can even do y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's what a quadratic looks like as a formula. We're going to practice this. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly give you all a sheet of paper before finals and be like, throw down every piece of information you can think of right now. And then we're going to talk about them. And some people will have things that you might want to add to yours. Okay. The only thing is, you can't bring that piece of paper and use it. You have to be able to do it that day when they give you that scratch piece of paper. So that's something you're going to have to take home and kind of memorize.
Miss Smith.
What's wrong with number 2? What was wrong with it?
She said she had.
I accidentally put sand instead of
I swear it said 10.
She got
Because so is SOH. Your opposite side is 7.2. O comes first. H comes second.
I still don't really get this.
This is the one where you have to cross multiply and you have to divide. So it's like.
So it's gonna be okay.
I have a line. Justin's out in the bathroom. She just has to go. You cannot go until she leaves.
I was gonna ask.
You made a bed in the middle of that shape, like elongated, and I have to do
And then you have the blue
What if I don't want to?
and the yellow.
Huh? You can use your own, but whoever's in there has to take the calculator. Oh, the 89, no, you can't use it. You can't use that one. You can't use any calculator with a QWERTY keyboard. They have calculators that literally have like a keyboard, and you can't use that either. There are certain calculators that are illegal to use on your test.
Illegal calculator.
If you get caught using one of those calculators on the test, your test is canceled and you take a 0. You cannot use it. You can't use certain calculators, like the TI-89 are too smart. They won't let you use them because they can do too many things. Too smart. They are. Because you can literally, there's a button that says factor, and then I can put in like x squared plus 2x plus 4 and close it, and it will factor it for you.
We need those.
But that's why they won't let you use it. At least you can use the restroom.
But if we're not allowed to use the advanced.
If she comes back to us,
The whole point of high school is to learn how to do this on your own.
I want high school to stress you out even more.
Right. I mean, if you really want to get fancy about it, I could just print you off the sheet that says the sign of 1 is this, the sign of 2 is this, and then you can just do it without using the sign buttons on your calculator too. Yes.
Miss Smith's gonna finish.
Listen, go put this in that yellow folder. Thanks. Ring, ring, ring.
So if it's 10, 50 times 5, would that just be?
No, 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 no.
I mean, my cousin didn't do this.
You would do 10.
Everybody's doing it.
That's what we're not gonna do. You're right, that's what we're not gonna do. We're gonna do
It's summer.
Or you could do 5.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's not, that's what, I guess they're not calling it PT. But it's the shuttle run and the other, and curl ups, I think. I think we did, our class didn't even get to finish 50 on
The jeans don't do that.
I gotta do it.
Okay. I'm going to start going over these. So I need the rest of you to go back to your seats now. Yes. As long as you don't unplug anything of mine, I'm cool. Okay. So for this one, okay. So some people are still struggling with labeling sides. So here's another trick that may help you. Okay. Your opposite and adjacent side. Always create your right angle. So if you take your fingers and go like this at your right angle, the side that your fingers are not touching is your hypotenuse every time. So create your right angle with your fingers and the other side is your hypotenuse then. Okay, so on this one, 8 is your hypotenuse. If I then cover 36, what's my opposite? X, which makes this your adjacent. Well, adjacent I don't need. So I've got O and H, so that should be sine of 36. O comes first, so X goes on top. H comes second, so 8 goes on the bottom. Okay, remember it's SOH. So my fraction is O divided by H. Okay. So when I cross multiply on this one, I get X equals 8 times the sign of 36. When you plug this in, what did we get? 4.7. Just remember, if they ask you to go to the 100th, you've got to add in that 0. Okay? If they ask you for the 10th, you're good. Just be careful with what they ask you to round to. Okay? So when I go down here, again, here's my right angle, which means this blank side is H. Opposite is X. And adjacent then is my 5. Well, I don't know anything about H. So I've got O and A, which is now going to be tangent of my angle. O comes first, so X goes on top. A goes on bottom, so 5 goes on the bottom. When I cross multiply, I get X equals 5 times the tangent of 50. And what did we get for X on this one?
5.96. If you round up, it's like this.
Okay. Watch your rounding too. They might give you 5.95 and 5.96. Because then if you're not paying attention and you're not rounding, you can get it wrong. So be careful. Okay. Again, right angle are my legs, which means X is my hypotenuse this time. Which one's opposite? 7.2. And this is adjacent. Well, I don't have adjacent, so I'm using sine of my angle. Equals. Remember, it's SOH. So O goes first. So 7.2 goes on top. X goes on bottom. So when I put this over 1 and cross multiply, I get 7.2 equals X times the sine of 70. So this time I actually have to take an extra step and divide by the sine of 70. These cancel, so what does X equal?
7.6.
7.66. Questions? How are we feeling on sides?
I hate it.
How many of you are like A-okay right now? How many of you are like, I got it, but I don't got it. But sometimes I got Oh. I can deal with, I've kind of got it. We can work with that. I have no freaking clue. It's going to drive me nuts today.